Rurouni Kenshin: The Beginning, also known as Rurouni Kenshin Final Chapter Part 2, The Beginning, is the fifth and final film in the excellent live-action Rurouni Kenshin series. It released in Japan in the spring of this year, and now it's on Netflix. It's based on the manga of the same name and was produced alongside Rurouni Kenshin the Final. The film is once again directed by Kaishi Otomo. This film is a prequel to the entire series and is given the nickname The Mystery of the Cross-Shaped Scar. This is because the secret of Kenshin's Jujishao is finally revealed. It takes place in the late 1860s when Japan's final civil war was still going on. The famed swordsman Hirokiri Botosai has been slaying members of the government with no regard for the number of guards standing in his way. Even the elites of the Shinsengumi have been unable to stop him, and that's saying a lot. With that said, the lives that the Botosai has taken have all but destroyed the once young man who wished for nothing more than to just help Japan into a new era, leaving behind nothing but an emotionless, killing machine. Yet one night, he meets up with a beautiful woman who is just as broken as he is. Their fate creates a story for how this brutal killer became changed into a wandering samurai who refuses to kill, the one we know as Rurouni Kenshin. So this film mainly focuses on Kenshin's past as the assassin Botosai, and it also explores his relationship with Otomo. We also get to see Kenshin go up against Inishi, who right now controls the underworld of China. In the previous film, we briefly learned about Inishi and Otomo, and basically how their stories ended. So it's kind of strange that this prequel is releasing after that film. In the previous film, The Final, we got to see Inishi and Otomo and basically how their stories end. I find it kind of strange that this prequel is releasing after that film. It really should release first. The plot of the previous film, The Final, is connected with the events of this film. While there was some short recaps showing some scenes from this film in the previous film, it was almost completely void of any emotional impacts, and we get all the emotional impact in this film. In fact, The Final actually becomes a better film when you watch this one first, because not only does it add more weight to Inishi's motivations, but also it helps you understand Kenshin's mindset and just how personal that fight was. If you end this series with this film, it does end on a high note, but it still feels like the beginning should have been watched before the final, just for the sake of experiencing a better story as a whole. The main thing we end up getting with this film is it brings the tale of Kenshin and Otomo's tragic romance into the live-action world in a pretty emotional way. If I just wanted to cut to the chase, Rurouni Kenshin: The Beginning is the best live-action adaptation of a manga or anime that I have ever seen, and I've seen quite a lot. Part of this is because the nature of this story. While it's connected to the greater Rurouni Kenshin plot, it also has a very self-contained tale due to its nature as a flashback to the original story. So you can actually watch this film without seeing any of the other films and still know everything that's going on. So any newcomer could just jump into this film without seeing the others and still feel that sense of tragedy of the characters and care about them. This film also used the same director as the previous films, but what's weird is it looks kind of different. Visually, the world is less vibrant. All of the colors are muted and everyone just seems to be covered in dirt and grime. Except for Otomo. She appears as clean and pure compared to everything around her. This looks great visually, but it's also kind of metaphoric to how Kenshin sees her. She is the only light that he sees in his life of violence and death. It's only during the climax, when her backstory is revealed, that she appears just as dirty as the rest of the world. This gritty feeling is also reflected into the action of the film. I thought the previous film stood out as being really violent compared to the rest of the series, but this one goes even farther. It's noticeably more bloody and violent, and it kind of makes sense considering that this is a film that's showing Kenshin at his most violent, and when he was the notorious killer. Also, the fighting is a lot more realistic. We don't really see any anime special attacks in this one, it's kind of just raw fighting. You don't really get too much wire fighting or insane jumps. and I'll say I definitely prefer it this way. Instead of getting stylized choreography, this film's battles look like nothing more than people just trying to kill each other. This even applies to Kenshin himself. He doesn't look superhuman, he just looks like a guy who's just really good at killing. This film, at its core, is really about two broken people, each driven by their own goals in life. Kenshin was once full of purpose, but has become dead inside due to his constant stream of death that he's causing. He's withdrawn from his friends, and you see him sit alone in a crowded room. Tomo, on the other hand, also has lost her purpose and now just lives only for revenge, but it's a revenge she cannot attain on her own. Their relationship is a testament of how love and hate are not always exclusive, and how one doesn't really replace the other. Even as they find new life within each other's hearts, this is the tragedy of their love. The soundtrack itself fits in with the other films, and I especially liked its theme song, Broken Heart of Gold. All in all, Rurouni Kenshin: The Beginning is a great film, and regardless if you've seen the other films in the series or not, you could still watch this one at any time. What's great about it is, even if you don't know anything about Rurouni Kenshin, this film is very accessible. It's a romantic tragedy of Shakespearean proportions, filled with stunning practical effects and impressive swordplay. As an added bonus, you might even learn a bit about Japanese history just from watching this. So if you have Netflix, make sure you watch this film. It might turn you on to the rest of the series. So now I officially reviewed every film in the Rurouni Kenshin live action series. I found it to be a highly underrated series, and it's one I very much enjoyed watching. The films may not be perfect, but they do what they're set out to do. They beautifully bring the world of Rurouni Kenshin to life, and fans should be pleased and proud with this result. Anyway, thanks for watching.